Matthew Bannister. Now, for the first 39 years of her life, Constanza del Rio had no idea that she was adopted. So it was a huge shock to discover that she'd been one of hundreds of babies informally adopted in Chile in the 1970s and 80s, often with the collaboration of the Catholic Church. Constanza spent years looking for her birth parents, and in the process she founded the country's first charity to help other people in her position find their families. Outlook's Jane Chambers went to meet her at the place where her quest began.
It's very peaceful here at Santo Toribio Church. The simple white building has a little garden at the back, with benches, birds singing, and a statue of the Virgin Mary. It's a place with strong memories for Constanza. It was here 4 years ago that her adopted mother and father finally told her the truth about her birth.
I didn't suspect nothing. I just assumed that my parents were my parents and my cousins were my cousins. And my life was okay. I was a scout. I love mountains. I love to ski.
So when did the doubt start creeping in?
I have a partner now, my husband, Arturo. His mother has 9 brothers and his father has another 9 brothers. So it's like a very huge family. And every time that we gathered together, they told stories about the pregnancy, being in labor. And in some point I understand that I didn't have those stories. And it was very weird. So I started asking my parents, what happened when I was in your belly, Mom? And they tried to answer these questions, and then 2 days later they make another answer for that question, and they were like confused. And I started to feel angry because I thought they didn't love me enough to remember those parts of my life. And in some point we have a very, very violent fight. I said to them that they were no anymore my parents. We spent like 3 months without talking. And they started doing the psychologist, and she said, you need to tell her now. 3 months later, in February, when I turned 39, they tell me that I was adopted.
And you actually came here, where at the church, their local church.
I think it was the same bench. We're sitting in this same spot.
We're sitting on a green bench.
I think you are sitting in my mother's spot, and my father was here, and I was in the middle. They started talking. I was looking at the Virgin Mary, and I said, I will never know who they are, my biological parents.
So how did you feel towards your adopted parents when you found out that you had actually been adopted and they'd been hiding it from you for all these years?
My parents were very, very scared because they thought that it was going to run away or something. I said to them, don't panic, I'm going to be your daughter forever, so it's the same. But in my mind it was like, I don't know where they are, I'll never find them. And that's the first thought in my mind. I think for every human being, the right to know where you come from is more than important. It's like a basic.
So as you mentioned, despite the fact that you'd never met your biological mother, you really felt this need to find her. And one of the things that helped you with that was a DNA test.
Yes, the DNA test was very important.
And why is it so hard in Chile to find out who your biological parents are if you've been adopted?
The first thing, it was illegal adoptions. They don't have files or record or something. Santiago is a very traditional city where the Catholic Church is very, very important. And they don't talk about things. They don't talk about adoptions. When a girl got pregnant, when she wasn't married, they didn't abort.
Because abortion is illegal in Chile.
Abortion absolutely illegal in Chile. So the solution for them was, we are going to hide you in some convent with nuns or something like that. And in the point that the birth came, these doctors and these priests took the baby and give them to another family.
What other clues did you have? What else had your adoptive parents told you about where you were born?
Just, they know 2 things. The place where they went to pick me up. And the other thing, she remembered reading my mother's name.
It was 4 years, a very long time. Along the way, there were a few false starts where you thought you'd actually tracked your mother down. What happened?
In the meantime, I went on the media a lot because one of my hopes is that someone is going to recognize me on the television. And like 4 parents came and we went and do the DNA test. And they went, no, it wasn't there.
So what's it like to feel that you think you found your mum and then you do the DNA test and it's not?
Oh, it was awful because I have these high hopes and then I have to think maybe they're not. I have to be like calm, and they call me daughter.
And you got a lot of help with doing a DNA test, and then you finally, through kind of various searches on the internet, managed to track down a number here in Chile. What happened when you called that number?
I called her and I explained her that it was me trying to reach my biological parents, and I said my birth date, February 1973, and she didn't say nothing. And the next day came and she sent me a WhatsApp telling me that she was coming to Santiago to meet me on Friday, and if you want, we could talk to each other. So for me, that was the proof. She's the one.
So what was that meeting like? How did you feel?
Oof, I was so nervous. The whole week I didn't sleep at all. I wrote her a letter explaining how and why I was looking for her. I just wanted to know if she was my mom. How did I come to this world? That Friday came, September 4, and we met on a Starbucks cafe in a mall. For me, it was amazing to see her for the first time, but she started to talk to me like very angry. She was very, very angry with me. She said that I'd reach for her and find her. Her human rights was violated. And in some point, she asked me, what do you want from me? Okay, yeah, I'm your mother, but what do you need from me? What do you want? And I said, okay, I just want to hug you. I want you to know me, and that's the only thing I want. And she said, okay, I'm going to think about it. We have to go now. She was very, very hard. And she turned up and said, can I hug you? And I hugged her, and on the hug, I said to her, thank you for coming. She said, okay, and she went away.
After the meeting, Constanza's birth mother told her she wanted to be left alone, and they're not now in touch with each other. But Constanza was still determined to find out more about her past, and so she decided to try to find her birth father. Another detective journey began, and after much research, Constanza discovered that her biological parents had met while running a scout camp in the 70s, and that her father was probably a teacher called Fernando Joquera Pantoja, who now lived 800 kilometers away in the south of Chile. But once she had his name, a quick internet search revealed an amazing coincidence. That very week, he was due to be in her hometown of Santiago, putting on an exhibition. Which is where Constanza has brought me now. We're standing outside the cultural centre in a district called La Reina, which is where Constanza and her husband Arturo finally tracked down her birth father.
I was so nervous. I came onto this school patio yard. There was this tall man very close to me, and I said, he is the one. And then we went to him and said, hello, are you Fernando Joquera Pantoja? Yes, he said, you want to talk? Yes. Can we talk in private with no people around you? Okay, and we started doing questions just to assure that he was the one. Did you went to this scout thing on this particular church? Yes. And did you, by any chance, have a girlfriend? Yes. And then I couldn't continue talking. And then Arturo started to talk to him. And at that point, Arturo said, I don't know if you knew, but girlfriend gave birth to a baby. And he said, yes, that kid was mine. And they took it away from me, and I've been looking for him because he didn't know it was a boy or a girl. And suddenly he started to looking at us like, what else do you have to tell me? And Arturo said, okay, so I have to introduce you to a daughter. And he was so shocked and like looking at me. And this thing, very weird, when I hugged him, I was like finally where I needed to be. My skin with his skin, like finally find each other. I knew in that point that he was my father. I knew it. And we have the same fingers, like very awful and ugly, but that's something that we share. And he took me on one arm and he took his phone and said, Mom, I found the first one. And for me, that phrase was amazing because he was looking for me. And he has told everybody that he has lost a kid.
During her 4-year search for her birth parents, Constanza set up a charity and a website called nosbuscamos.org, which means we're searching for. It's the only one of its kind in Chile, and it's dedicated to helping people who were part of those informal adoptions to find their parents.
I put the website because I didn't have tools here in Chile to find my parents. So I went on the streets and said, where can I go to ask? To the government, to the police, to whom I can ask? Nobody knew how to help us. And so I put up this website just because I wanted to be like a lighthouse. Like, I'm here. If you are looking for me, I'm here, okay? But In less than a month, we have more than 100 cases. Today we have 3,500, too many cases.
So with all the ups and downs of your story, because it has been tough along the way, when you have people coming along to your organisation looking for their biological parents, what kind of advice do you give them about expectations?
We said to them, you need to empower yourself. You need to have the strength and the energy to keep this tracking, because it's going to be very hard, a long way.
And when it doesn't go how you want, to get over that.
At least you did all you have on your hands to do it.
And how do your adopted parents feel about all this?
When I told them about my father, they were very, very happy. They finally met in February when he came back because of my birthday. They celebrate my first real date birthday. All the family of my grandmother were there. They were like 73 people there in a big barbecue in the house of my grandmother. So it has been amazing. It has been just a love story, like no regrets, just love.
Constanza del Rio talking to our reporter Jane Chambers in Chile. And if you'd like more details about her organisation, you can find them on our website.